woman at her own wedding, still sad and alone.
Listen, Seed of Chucky, why don't you just leave me alone?
Today, we're taking a slight detour to 2004 with the movie Seed of Chucky.
She's been nominated for an Oscar.
Jennifer, Miss Tilly.
And critically acclaimed.
It is true.
Now, Jennifer Tilly will take on the role of a lifetime.
We need a surrogate mother.
Come to Papa.
What the hell is going on in here?
She came on to me.
No wonder her career's in trouble.
Seed of Chucky.
I should have played Aaron Brockovich. Could have done it without the Wonder Bra.
Rated R.
The fifth installment of the Child's Play series and the sequel to 1998's Bride of Chucky. This film was written and directed by Don Mancini, probably said that name wrong, who created the series. It has written all of the films except for the 2019 piece of shit remake. This movie stars Billy Boyd, Redman, Hannah Spirit of S Club 7 fame, gay icon John Waters, Jennifer Tilly, and Brad Dourif returning as the voice of Chucky. The film is set 6 years after Bride of Chucky and follows a young doll named Glen, the son of Chucky and Tiffany, resurrecting his parents, causing chaos. Seed of Chucky grossed over $24 million against a $12 million budget, received mixed or average reviews, but it's interesting to know that it made double its budget at the box office. Now, I rewatched this installment quite recently, and I'm going to say I enjoyed it much more than when I did when I was a 12-year-old dumbass kid. I love that they added this level of, Chucky's kid fighting between his two personalities of, whether he's a vicious killer just like his dad or an innocent kid just like his mum. And I appreciated the metaphors of how Glenda discovering their true identity can be seen as like a type of coming out in like a hetero world. Loved how it adds a conflict to Tiffany and Chucky as well. It seems like, that whole parallel between like the accepting mum, but then the dad that's like, my son can't be like this, bro. And also being set in 2004, I just love the 2000s references, especially with like Britney Spears, S Club 7, who were kind of dead at that point, but also just some weird things like the huge focus on diet culture. They state many times that Jennifer Tilly's fat, even though it's Jennifer Tilly. Like, yeah. Who cares if she's fat anyway? I don't think she was personally, but, that's like the best and worst of Hollywood. So, BP, we'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts about Seed of Chucky?
At this point, I was pretty chuckied out altogether. I really liked they were ballsy enough, especially in the year 2004, to kind of, explore the issues around someone's sexuality, especially like Glen and Glenda. I appreciated that they sort of went into that realm because no one else was really doing that, or it was sort of seen as like obscene or explicit that we weren't talking about those issues. As a film as a whole, kind of just felt maybe like a continuation of the previous film. And yeah, it was a different approach altogether. But yeah, I don't really feel like it sort of added anything to the Chucky franchise. It just, to me, it kind of felt like a filler so far in the franchise as a film. But if I didn't watch it, I don't think I would have been missing much. But I mean, Jennifer Tilly stole the show as per usual, which is good.
Coop, do you have any thoughts?
So this was the first Chucky movie that came out when I already knew what Chucky was. So I remember having already heard lots of little sound bites and stuff on the internet in that dingy little computer room at Nambucca Primary that I'm sure you remember, Justin.
Yep.
So like I kind of knew that it was going to be sort of leaning more on the comedy side, but I think as an 11-year-old, I didn't really get it. And it was maybe a bit too silly for me at the time. Looking back, and I've watched it like several times since and appreciated a lot more as a movie. It's strange. It's somehow a sillier movie, but it's also aimed at sort of a more mature audience in some of the issues that it tackles in the movie. But overall, yeah, it is a comedy, even sillier than Bride of Chucky. But there's references all throughout. You can't fault the fact that this is a movie with John Waters in it, and any movie with John Waters in it is just going to be good. That's just the way it is.
Hello, I'm John Waters, and I'm supposed to announce there is no smoking in this theater, which I think is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of in my life. How can anyone sit through a length of a film, and especially a European film, and not have a cigarette? But don't you wish you had one right now? And I'm telling you that smoke anyway. It gives ushers jobs, and if people didn't smoke, there would be no employment for the youth of today. So once again, no smoking in this theater.
As BP was saying, Jennifer Tilly steals the show, playing both Tiffany and herself. And it's just such an excellent shit take on Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it. And of course, Brad Dourif as Chucky is always going to do a good job. And there's so many one-liners in this that, yeah, you can shake a stick at them. It's crazy. It's pretty much all one-liners, this movie. It's all silly dialogue and some pretty bright, colorful death as well.
Yeah, I agree, especially about John Waters.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I think my favorite part of the whole movie, and I don't actually know why it's necessarily my favorite part, but I just think it's so funny at the start where, you know, it's like a cold open. You think it's going to be a typical like horror movie opener with Chucky, especially where Doll finds knife, Doll kills family, Doll does this, but then it turns it on its head where it's that little British girl. She's like, oh my God, you're pissing your pants. And then it cuts to Glenda actually in real life, and he's been like the carnival attraction. And the guy's like, wake up, you're pissing your pants. I love that whole transition. I thought it was so funny, but it also quickly establishes that it is Glen and Glenda's character fighting one of their true personalities, which is this vicious killer. And that whole motive throughout the whole movie. BP, I know you said you were all Chuckied out, but did you have any favorite parts of Seed of Chucky?
Yeah, well, the opening of the movie, I really like the opening shot going up the staircase. I thought it was really good having that point of view.
I do really like the reveal of Glenda after she kills the, you're saying that she's from S Club 7. I didn't know that. There you go. I'm learning new things today. I like that. But yeah, that reveal where you think that, oh, it's Tiffany. She's fallen off the wagon or on the wagon. I could never remember if you meant to be on or off the wagon, but it's one of those. But you think it's Tiffany, but it's actually Glenda. And then, yeah, that it just has gotten to such a point of wacky at that point in the movie that like you don't think it's going to push it any further, but then it does. I guess another favorite part of that is where it does push it even further is right sort of in the climax of the movie where you've basically got some kung fu shit going on with Glenn doing a backflip and getting the axe and
it's like Matrix, isn't it?
I know, right? Yeah. And you know, chopping Chucky to bits. So I think everything that I like about this movie is kind of the weirdness and silliness of it. It's just such a ride watching this movie.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too with Hannah Spirit, the actor from S Club 7. I don't actually remember S Club 7 being that popular in Australia. I know they had like their Nickelodeon show. They had some big songs in America and the UK, but the only one that I can remember is Don't Stop Moving. And even then, I think maybe like 2 girls in my year 3 class did a dance to it, but it was like your typical like, woo, jump and spin, like big whoop. You know, I don't think S Club 7 were that popular where it's like, oh, Hannah Spirit's in this movie. If anything, people are like, who the fuck is Hannah Spirit?
I don't know her. Right. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Sounds like a brand of milkshake or some shit, but
it's interesting, like when you say that S Club 7, because like that Britney Spears scene is just so random, and I just think did someone in the crew like was a major Britney Spears fan and like, can we put this in? But it's not even like. It's funny, like I'll give it. It's funny. It's just kind of like random because it's out of nowhere. I just don't like. She would have been at it, or she was at a peak, I guess, around that era. But it's just so random that that's in the movie to start with, and it's like literally like a 20-second scene, and then Chucky's like, "Oh, I did it again" or something, and then that's it. And I'm like, okay.
I do remember 2004 was like the height of hating Britney Spears as a personality trait. It'd be like what would the equivalent be today? Probably Taylor Swift or, you know, someone that's overexposed. Nickelback, Avril Lavigne, people that are on the radio too much and you're just like, can't stand them. Or like their song. Ed Sheeran. Although Ed Sheeran's hate is warranted. No, but it's interesting being looking at this as a time capsule and thinking, holy shit, this was 2004. Like even the color grade that's used in the movie, I don't see that in modern day films, and I don't see that type of color grade in any other Chucky movie. I will say though, I do have a least favorite part of the movie, and it's actually the ending. So I remember watching the ending when I was 12, and I didn't get it at the time that, you know, Tiffany had successfully transferred her soul into Jennifer Tilly's body, and that Glen and Glenda had split into the 2 kids. I thought this other kid was out of nowhere, so that was lost on me as a kid. Watching it as an adult, I get it now. I get that, you know, the 2, if there's a separate Glen, there's a separate Glenda, and when he gets attacked by Chucky's arm at the end. The reason why that made me annoyed was because I wanted to see what happened afterwards. And I know they'll set it up for a sequel, but then we haven't seen Glen or Glenda in any of the sequels or the TV series. And, you know, we've seen Tiffany, she comes back in Curse of Chucky right at the end. Spoiler alert, soz. But then, you know, I'm just like, what happened? Like, are they going to continue this story? Is this going to be in season 2 of Chucky? Or I do remember reading some trivia for, I'll be honest, I can't remember if it's for Curse of Chucky or Cult of Chucky, but they did have at one stage a plan to bring back Glen/Glenda and Tiffany the doll, as opposed to Jennifer Tilly, as opposed to Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly, the real person, into the movie, but then it got scrapped for time or it got scrapped for some other reason. But I generally do like Seed of Chucky. I can't think of any other scenes where I'm like, ugh, I hate this part, or, you know, it's not something that's least desirable. But BP, did you have any other least favorite parts of the movie?
Nothing I can touch base on. Like I said earlier, at this point in the franchise, I felt personally it was probably the weakest entry, and it kind of goes off in a weird little hybrid of being like your horror, which is what it sort of started with, into sort of a comedy horror. I mean, I'm not against comedy horror, but I guess in this realm it works all right. But to me, I don't know. It was nice that they touched on the issues of Glenda, that side of it, and Jennifer Tilly featured. But apart from that, I feel like it was sort of a forgettable film. I don't think I would lose sleep if I didn't watch it.
One little gripe, and it's a gripe that we're going to be talking about when we do start talking about the TV show. I don't like, particularly in this case, it's the voice of an adult on a kid, like lip synced really badly, and it just sounds stupid. Towards the end of the film, where Glen is now in a human body, but it's still Billy Boyd voicing the little boy, and it just looks and sounds ridiculous, and I hate it. So that's probably the main thing. I hate, you know, it's probably because I like Drag Race so much, but bad lip syncing is just not okay.
Oh, she doesn't know the word.
Doesn't pass in my books.
Maybe RuPaul hit him with a car. No.
Yeah. But other than that, not really. I was going to say that maybe the acting in the opening scene, but I kind of like that it's a bit silly given that it is meant to be a dream. So with all the ridiculous, obnoxious British accents, I told you to put your dolls away and all that shit. And you're pissing your pants is amazing. Really good.
Because there's a scene in the opening bit where the father goes over the staircase and hits the floor, and then the daughter, at that point, I'm like, wouldn't she be screaming at this point? And like, God. And I didn't understand it was a dream until obviously after. But during the thing, I'm sort of like, you can't say someone goes overboard over like a staircase and you would be screaming or hysterically, you know, like yelling or something, which I didn't understand. And the mum's just having a shower and not hearing any of this either. But then I realized it's a dream, so it made sense.
I got to give credit to the camera work in this movie as well. When I watched it as a kid, you know, had no clue about filmmaking, no idea how difficult some camera shots are and whatnot, but it feels like it's all edited to be one take, that opening scene where you get the point of view. Yeah. It's so good, but also that would have been a lot of money. Like a lot of mechanics, it would have been an entire team of people using steady cams, dolly tracks, funny enough, dolly tracks in a movie about dolls. But even then, the film set that they're on, where it's like the part where Chucky's like, fuck with your mind, and then the dolls are malfunctioning and camera pulls back, you see the team around it. That's as close to a realistic film set as I've seen in my very, very, very limited experience working on like feature film sets and whatnot. You know, you've got the agents, you've got the director, you've got the producers, you've got camera operators who actually don't give a shit about what they're working on. But even this concept of Jennifer Tilly being late to set or acting like a diva because she just wants to go sneak off and have a Mars bar and whatnot, but she's got her own like contractual obligations. Like none of that has changed now. Like before 2004, it would have been all these celebrities doing Slim Fast or, you know, insert weight loss product here.
Oh, look at that. It's like an ad for a fucking weight loss center. Before and way before.
This guy ever stop breaking balls?
Yeah, what I said, Tom. They're like an ad for a weight loss center.
Before and after.
And now with Instagram and all that shit, it's like, oh, use my teeth whitening or use this avocado oil to get your skin clear or whatever, all that shit. And it's like, none of that aspect has changed with Hollywood or capitalism, but it's funny to see that get made fun of in a movie that's all about horror movies and dolls and killing Hollywood, essentially.
I was just going to say, one of the puppeteers in that movie, the guy that he plays a puppeteer and he gets his head cut off as soon as Chucky and Tiffany come back. Like, he was actually is one of the puppeteers on the movie. So that's pretty cool, I reckon.
I like that. I do like that sequence too. Like the nice little build up. He's drilling into Tiffany's back, and then when he sees that there's actual like human shit or whatever inside the dolls, he's like, huh? And then they're just like, whoosh.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I'm going to say, in terms of it being like a good concept or like storyline and whatnot, I personally envisioned something very different. I thought it was going to be a straight sequel to Bride of Chucky where, you know, same tone, same color scheme, same characters, whatnot. And instead of it being Glen/Glenda being like a 6-year-old doll, or I don't think they state how old Glenda is, but I imagined it still being a baby, especially with like the poster where it's like the kid in the pram. I still like it. Not sure if it's 100% there. It's like 75% there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the Seed and Bride of Chucky, I consider like brother-sister movies to each other. I feel like they're their own movies just together. Compared to the rest of the franchise. That's how I sort of look at it. They're very similar in a way.
It's weird that they're kind of they're so different, but so like I would lump them in as one and the same as well. Them being completely connected. So pretty clever, really.
Viewers, please sign our petition that we haven't created, but bring back Glen and Glenda. Thank you both for joining me again today.
Thank you.
Listeners, in our next episode, we discuss Curse of Chucky, a return to a fully fledged horror format. Feel free to throw us a like, comment, share, tip, blah, 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 blah. If you hated our podcast.
To sum it up, Daddy-O, we're going to kick your butts from here to butt-kickingville.